Greetings and welcome to today's segment of Front Page, where every weekday I summarize and find the most interesting parts of the day's headlines from 5 different newspapers from around the world. My quest is to read out the facts as they are reported in each newspaper, and I'll do my best to find the most interesting stories out there. I'm Murad Hamami. Let's get started here at home in Turkey with the newspaper, The Daily Sabah. They've gone with an interesting story. I didn't go with the headline. We went with another one. Israel's Bennett hails President Herzog for improving ties with Ankara. Now, Israel Prime Minister Naftali Bennett said Monday that President Isaac Herzog has extraordinary diplomatic value for resolving problems with Turkey. Bennett's remarks came in a press statement from his office in West Jerusalem. According to Israeli media, Bennett touched on bilateral relations with Turkey, stressing that the Israeli president played an important role in diplomatic contacts with Ankara. Now, joining me now is political analyst Dilara Aslan to tell us what she thinks about this development. Dilara, great to see you. Thanks for joining us here on Front Page. Now, this is an interesting story. We've heard, of course, we had stories earlier today, news about what's happening in West Bank and Palestine, and Palestine does play a big role in this meeting. Now we're hearing talks that Naftali Bennett is encouraging the new Prime Minister Herzog to build ties with Ankara. What are your thoughts on the subject?
I think we have to see the Turkey-Israel normalization not only in a bilateral context, but more in a bigger picture. Because we have seen that Turkey aims to normalize not only with Israel, but we have also seen similar steps with Saudi Arabia, Egypt, the United Arab Emirates, and even Armenia. So Turkey has for long years pursued a foreign policy of precious loneliness, but now it is voicing ever frequently that it is pursuing and eyeing that it is eyeing a more cooperational foreign policy and good neighborly relations in the region. So we have to see the Turkey-Israel normalization in this context, I believe. It is good that we have now been seeing positive messages and both countries voicing their will to normalize and to take further steps. But the two countries still appear cautious on normalization, but it is good that we have dialogue now. We have an upcoming visit of the Israel's President Herzog to Turkey in March, and but still the main issue here between the two countries' normalization is the Palestine issue, as you know. In this regard, I believe that further enhanced relations between Turkey and Israel could actually help Turkey to put itself in a position to find a middle ground between the two countries. So it could maybe negotiate a possible solution. And Turkey is aiming for a 2-state solution, let's remember. So it could be good that Turkey would have good relations with both Israel and both Palestine and help the two countries to find a positive solution on this matter. And maybe another policy that Turkey could pursue here in the normalization with Israel could be to compartmentalize its issues with Israel. Maybe it could put the Palestine issue on some instances on the side and focus on other issues on which the two countries have good potential to cooperate, including energy and the Eastern Mediterranean and Syria, in which neither country actually supports the Bashar Assad regime there.
Okay, sounds like Turkey could be mediating again, especially when it comes to Palestine. Dilara, thanks for your time. Always a pleasure talking to you. Have a lovely day. Thanks again. Okay, let's continue on. We've got a lot to get through now. The next story I want to talk to you is about the Times of India. It's a hot topic. It's gone viral, in fact. Karnataka colleges shut for 3 days as hijab row turns violent. That's the headline. That's an interesting story. Now, incidents of stone pelting and use of force by police were reported on Tuesday as the hijab row in Karnataka escalated and protesters by students spread to more colleges, prompting the state government to declare a 3-day holiday for the educational institutions. Now, out of about 5,000 plus pre-university colleges in the state that function, a conflict-like situation has been created in about 10 to 12 institutions, and in some degree, colleges due to this hijab and saffron shawl controversy. Now, as the hijab row evoked mixed reactions in Karnataka and elsewhere in the country, visuals of a group of boys heckling a hijab-clad girl in Mandya near Bengaluru went viral. The student who asserted the protest demanding the girl's right to wear a hijab would continue, she said she had the support of her teachers and claimed that the boys with the saffron shawls who heckled her were outsiders. Take a look at this report.
Female Muslim students in India's southern Karnataka state are protesting against the government's decision to ban students wearing hijabs and burqas in colleges. Hundreds of protesters who were wearing hijabs and burqas are taking to the streets, chanting against the government and demanding a withdrawal of the decision.
So now the exams are near. Now even elections are near. Due to the elections, they are telling that we should ban a hijab, we should not wear a hijab. Why?
Last week, the Karnataka state government issued an order imposing a ban on wearing hijabs and burqas, stating that they tend to disturb integrity, equality and public order, leading to protests across the state. As the protests took place across the state, a government-run college in Udupi district allowed students wearing hijabs to enter the premises on Monday, and the students were seated in separate classrooms.
When we had joined the college first, in that college rules books, they mentioned we can wear a hijab and there is no restrictions about hijab. Then again, suddenly, why they are telling about we should not wear a hijab? We should not come to college by wearing hijab. Why?
Right, you're back with me now in the studio. Okay, that was India. Let's take a look at Pakistan. And Pakistan today looks like this. The headline of Chosu, PM Khan vows befitting response following Balochistan terrorist attacks. Israel, Islamophobia, it's going on all over the place. Doesn't stop. Prime Minister Imran Khan Tuesday lauded the valor of the country's security forces in the fight against terrorism, saying that the Pakistani army had excelled in its professionalism and helped in ridding Pakistan of terrorism. The Premier expressed their views while addressing the troops at the Balochistan, where he spent the whole day. Now, Khan vowed to give a befitting response to the militants who were attempting, albeit in vain, to hamper the pace of the development, and particularly in Balochistan. No other army had faced such unprecedented challenges due to now frequent instances of terrorism in the wake of the war in Afghanistan. The Prime Minister recalled he was shocked to learn about the twin attacks in the districts of Nushki and Panjshir and wanted to spend time with the soldiers who he said were waging a jihad against the militancy. That's Pakistan. Let's take a look at the next newspaper. We've got the Daily Telegraph. Moving on swiftly here. Okay, waiting lists will rise no matter what, says Javed. Okay, what's this about? This is about the NHS. The waiting list for hospitals treatment will not start falling for 2 years, ministers say, despite unveiling a plan to tackle England's backlog in care. 6 million people are on a waiting list, 1 in 9 of the population. But Health Secretary Sajid Javid said that this number would probably increase with demand, expected to rise from COVID pressure was easing. He also said out of plans to reduce waiting times for cancer treatment. The proportion of cancer patients starting treatment within 62 days would return to its pre-pandemic levels by March 2023. Mr. Javid said although this would still leave it some way short of the 85% target, people are thought to have been deterred from seeking help for non-urgent care, everything from knee and hip surgery to treatment for sight problems and joint pain. Okay, last point here, currently more than 300,000 people are on the waiting list, and this has, of course, gone up. Okay, let's take a look at our last newspaper today. Last but not least, as I say, at the end. Up next is a paper, the Financial Times. I like to call them the pink sheets. They're actually salmon. The headline reads, EU unveils €43 billion chip plant drive after pandemic's lesson on supply. Big news. Europe has followed the EU in setting out plans for a massive increase in semiconductor manufacturing as Brussels attempts to secure supplies of the chips that drive the global economy. Unveiling a €43 billion investment plan, the European Commission said it wanted to use state aid to promote research and production of higher technology chips in computers, smartphones, vehicles, and other products. The coronavirus pandemic had painfully exposed the vulnerability of Europe's supply chains, said Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, with production lines for cars and other goods hit by shortages. The CHIPS Act aims to double the EU share of the semiconductor market from 10 to 20% by 2030, which would require quadrupling production. Now, the EU is following plans by President Joe Biden's US administration for a $52 billion package to subsidize semiconductor manufacturing. Other governments are also trying to improve semiconductor supply chains. Under the plan announced on Tuesday, the European Commission and national governments would spend €11 billion to build 3 pilot factories or facilities for any company to use. Member states and businesses were expected to invest a further €32 billion by 2030. The act would require companies receiving subsidies to prioritize European customers in times of supply shortages even. The EU could also widen the measure to all businesses if the US or other countries applied such controls. Okay, Intel and US chipmaker plans to invest €20 billion to build 2 chip fabrication plants known as fabs, expected to be in Germany, as well as support facilities as packing research, which would require further investment. That's the FT. That's 5 newspapers, quickly all there for you in about 15 minutes. That wraps up the top headlines of the day. Do be sure to tune in tomorrow at the same time when I'll be here giving you a synopsis of the front pages from around the world. I'm your host, Murad Hamami.